As you know from one of my past homilies, we all learned that there's no one here who's smarter than a fifth grader, right? All right, so let's just admit it and get over it and get on with, oh wait, are you going to the fourth grade? Fourth. Okay. He's smarter than all of you. If you remember, I asked the question, what book this is from or the story. He at least had the right book in the scriptures. None of you did.
Yeah, I just thought you said Genesis 1, not Genesis 1.
Yeah, I'm not asking you any more questions. No, these poor people, we're old and we're getting towards the end of our lifespan. We don't want to get more depressed than we already are. So I'm going to jump right into the homily. 2, 12, 72. I'm not even going to ask what those have in common because we'll get so many different answers. But they all have to do with God's plan to get the good news out into the world. 2, 12, 72. We heard 72 today. The 2 are probably the first example of God choosing 2 people to work together to bring the good news to people were Moses and his brother Aaron. They worked as a team. We're told that Moses may have had some kind of speech impediment, so he wasn't a good speaker, but Aaron was a good speaker, so Aaron was the spokesperson, but Moses was the power behind the movement. So there's a really good example of God saying, well, let's send 2 people to support one another. And of course, that happens in the New Testament a lot. So 12, we have 12 apostles. And what did Jesus do? He sent them out 2 by 2 in order to preach the gospel in the villages. So that's what Jesus did, 2 by 2, not 1 by 1, 2 by 2. So you have this community of 2 people to support one another as they talk about the gospel. Today we have 72 disciples, 12 apostles and 72 disciples, and Jesus sends them out again, 2 by 2, to proclaim the kingdom of God, to cure people, to get rid of demons. And they do that. And what happens? They come back filled with joy and energy because Jesus said, you can do this, and they did it, and they were amazed by it. And, you know, if we take that model of ministry, of going forth and proclaiming the gospel, it's good enough for us too, really, 2 by 2. We don't think of it that way. You know, we're in a society where we're kind of individualists and on our own, and yet if we go to the gospel recommendation of 2 by 2, then it can be something not only prayerful and uplifting for 2 people, but there's going to be more going on, hopefully in our work as evangelists. I'll give you a real brief story. I was working with members of the parish of St. John the Evangelist on Ridge Road. They were celebrating their 150th anniversary, and they wanted to do some door-to-door invitations to people in the area to come and celebrate with them. So we had a group of St. Paul Street evangelists, that was my group, and then parishioners. And we did a very, very quick training. And I was paired with one woman who said to me, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Or what am I going to say? And so we go to the door, knock on the door, people come. We say who we are. And wouldn't you know it, this woman got right into a wonderful conversation with the people who answered the door. She was a natural, absolutely natural. She kind of went right to the heart. Oh, how are you? Who are you? Oh, yeah, I've experienced. I said later, I said, you're a natural. She was a natural. Now, she didn't know that until she tried it. But she was an evangelist because she was willing to step out in faith, and we partnered, and I didn't really have to say much because she was so good. But there's an example of really how easy evangelization is, and will always be. The point is, do we have a deep faith and love of Jesus Christ? Is our faith really deep? Do we really love the Lord? Are we convinced that he is the way, the truth, and the life? Are we convinced that it's through Jesus that we truly find joy and hope and ultimately glory? Because if we do, then we're going to want to tell other people about Jesus. That's what evangelization is. It's not about just going to church on Sunday, but then saying, this is so good, I don't want to keep it to myself. And this is really what we should be thinking, I'm obliged to tell other people about Jesus. You know, it's easy to do it with family or friends that we know have some kind of understanding of Christianity, perhaps. But there are many people who don't have any connection. They're what we call unchurched. No connection with the church. They're not baptized. They have really no understanding of God's love. And there's thousands of those people, and we are called to bring the gospel message to them. You know, if we look at churches, parishes, there are some that are dying. There's some that are growing. How would you evaluate whether or not a church is doing its job? Well, many people would say the key indicator is how many catechumens you have each year. People who are not baptized. And that's a good indicator because that means we are going out and telling people about Jesus and inviting them here, being hospitable and welcoming and asking questions, again, like one of our parishioners asked of Tom Golisano. He said, Tom, how's your spiritual life? Yeah, wow. And Tom responded, yeah, you know, I've been thinking about that, Bill. He said, you know, it's as easy as that. Or it's just as easy as saying, how you doing today? Oh, you're having troubles? Can I pray for you? Let me know what's going on. With strangers or friends, but particularly with those we don't know, because there are many people just waiting to hear the gospel proclaimed. But one more example that I experienced at the public market down in the city. For years, we went every Saturday morning. We would walk around. We'd invite people to take a rosary. We would talk with them. Many people obviously were Catholic, and they said, oh, thank you. Many more were not Catholic, and they were very interested in talking about their faith. And I saw one young lady, she's probably in her 20s. She had behind a little booth. She had crazy hair, crazy outfit, you know, and I thought, I'm going to go offer her a rosary. So I went up to her and I said, would you like a free rosary? We always give everything free. We never take money at all. Would you like a free rosary? And she said, oh, yes, thank you. I say it every day. Now, how do I prove that? Oh, clever me. I said, do you know the luminous mysteries? She did. So she was the real McCoy. Now, the witness was not me to her. The witness was her to me, you know, because I had these blinders on. You know, she looked like she was this, but here she was a rosary prayer. And that's a type of encounters we find, and it builds us up, and we're doing simply what God tells us to do. So I want to inaugurate today at this Mass this rack. This is the Myra Bellavia Memorial Evangelization Tool Rack. The Myra Bellavia Memorial Evangelization Tool Rack. Many of you knew Myra, wonderful, wonderful woman. She was very instrumental in putting this together. I have tons of rosaries and pamphlets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to get them out to people, and she was willing to do some organizing, et cetera, et cetera. We got into some fights, too, because she would say, no, I don't like that there, Father, you know. But that was Myra. But because of her, we have this. So this is going to be out in the narthex. It's for you, not to take stuff for you, or even your family generally, but to take items that you will give away. as a way of encountering people. I'll give you one example of how to do that. I don't have a lot of medals here, but I have many more. One of the ways you go out to dinner to a restaurant, this is the easiest way to evangelize. You put a rosary or a medal right on the table, right by where the waiter or waitress is. And see if they say anything. Sometimes they'll say, oh, what is that? Or that's a beautiful rosary. And you can say, would you like one? And then you go from there. You say, you know how to pray the rosary. Then you say, we're from St. Mary Ann Cope Catholic Church. Do you go to a church? Oh, really? Tell me about your experience. You get into a conversation. That's really all it is. And before you know it, you've made this connection with them. And if they're already Christian, you're supporting their faith. If not, you may be opening a door for them, planting a seed. And again, it's very, very easy. And you know, these beautiful rosaries, I guess there's a story behind that too. They come from Geneva, several groups, and I think they've all died out now, unfortunately. But I would get thousands of rosaries from them. And that's what we would use to distribute at the public market. We're going to be doing it again at the public market in Henrietta. So we'll give you more information about that. We have how many of you were helping last year at the public market? One. Okay, people that showed up, right. And did anybody yell at us or scream at us? No. People are very, very receptive. And we have books, we have rosaries, everything free. And we simply encounter people. We say, how are you? You need prayer? We're from this church, so forth and so on. And we keep learning more things. So we thought one of the ways we're going to get people to come to us is we're going to have freezer pops for the kids. That worked beautifully. And so we would have people coming back and forth. But it's just one way of saying to people, we care about you. We want to know who you are. We want to let you know about our faith. And I would say we would get like at least 10 parishioners every Friday. 10! And every one of them was perfect in terms of their encountering with people. They didn't have to go through a course. They were just who they are, caring individuals wanting to welcome people and be hospitable. And so we have all our stuff, the Knights of Columbus. Jerry's been there helping us. In fact, we have a new tent, right, this year, Jerry, and a table. Okay. And we have a beautiful banner. But a very easy way of encountering. So this is the type of thing that we have there. So this is for you to in the next week, think about, if you're going to Wegmans or you're going to maybe the Henrietta Senior Center or you're going to some gathering, how you might, in a very casual way, but a focused way, introduce people to some of this stuff. You could even say, any of you pray the rosary, or do you need a rosary? Or there's books and pamphlets, so forth and so on, a wonderful booklet on prayer here from Bishop Barron. And so this is to be given away freely. And again, push yourself. It's very easy. I'm going to give it to my son. Well, if your son's not getting it at this point, tell him, no, you're not getting it. I'm going to give it to a stranger. Well, why not me, Ma? Well, come to church and you'll get one. But, to reach out to those who don't get reached out to. We're assuming we live in a so-called Christian culture. That doesn't mean anything today, really. It doesn't mean anything because I would say from statistics, at least 40% of the people in our area are unchurched. 40%. So the sky's the limit in terms of taking what we have and sharing it gently and lovingly. But, we have to have the heart of an evangelist, which means I want people to be saved. I want people to know Jesus Christ. Just because someone never becomes a follower of Jesus, that doesn't mean they're not going to be saved. No. But that's not why we do it. We do it because Jesus says, you got to do it if you want to be my disciple, if you want to be one of the 12, or the 72, you've got to go out and proclaim the gospel. It's not just missionaries and religious orders, it's all of you. You are the great resource that we have in the church. You. because you're out everywhere, every day, coming up to people, meeting people, seeing people, learning what people are going through. So you have a wonderful opportunity to share the gospel message. So in the next week, think about where you're going to be going, what you're going to be doing. As I said, easy way is when you go out to dinner to a restaurant, put some stuff there. And if you see them looking at it, you say, oh, would you like to take one? Do you know what that is? So very easy to find ways of proclaiming the gospel. So again, thanks Myra. And this has been going on for a while, the Myra Bellavia Memorial Evangelization Tool Rack. So remember that. So thank God for Myra. People like Myra. Her husband, Carm, was great too. I used to do a little radio show with the Catholic radio, and he would come on. I'd say, oh, Carm, how you doing? You could tell Carm's voice. You know who it was. So another one who is interested in the faith. So that's what we want to. We want to be enthusiastic about our faith and share it. So again, think about where you're going to be going, and maybe someday we'll all be smarter than a 5th grader, and we can go on to the 6th grade level. But there's more to come, because we talked a couple weeks ago about Bible literacy, and something's going to happen with that. Okay, so get your seatbelts on, because we're going to learn, and we need to learn. The more we do, the better we will be able to share the faith with others. So thank you, Myra. Thank you, Jesus. And thanks to all of us for being here, to being accountable to the Lord, and having a desire that hopefully will grow each day to bring the gospel to more and more people.